I sit rigid in my chair at Marino's, the downtown restaurant that costs more than my weekly grocery budget. Crystal glasses catch the light from chandeliers overhead, creating tiny prisms across the white tablecloth. The wine menu stands propped between salt and pepper shakers, $28 for the cheapest glass. My father's 60th birthday celebration swirls around me while I maintain a smile that doesn't reach my eyes. Another round? The server hovers at Dad's right shoulder, pen poised. Absolutely. Dad claps his hands together, his cheeks already flushed from the first two glasses. My fingers tighten around my water glass. I've barely touched the wine I ordered 30 minutes ago, calculating its cost with each small sip. Jade tosses her hair over one shoulder, scanning the menu with practiced nonchalance. I'm thinking the Maine black lobster. They fly it in fresh this time of year. I glance at the price, $65, and feel my stomach clench. Excellent choice. Our server nods, then turns to me. And for you, ma'am? Just the cedar plank salmon, please. It's the least expensive entree at $32. Jade catches my eye as the server moves to Logan. With deliberate slowness, she points to the reserve wine list. I'll have the Chateau Margaux, the 2015. I know that wine. $45 a glass. Logan leans forward. And I'd like the deluxe sushi platter. A dish designed for 2 people. $78. My chest tightens. Maybe we go easy on the menu tonight? The words slip out before I can stop them, soft enough that only our table can hear. Mom and Dad exchange glances. Logan studies his napkin. Jade's lips curve upward. Relax, Ellis, she says, voice carrying just enough to make the tables nearby turn slightly. You've got it. You're basically our corporate sponsor. Everyone laughs. Everyone except me. I feel something harden inside my chest, like concrete setting. 3 years. 3 years of holidays, birthdays, and just because celebrations were my card somehow always ended up with the bill. It began with my promotion to financial manager. Suddenly, my family wanted to celebrate everything, and I was happy to treat occasionally. But occasional became expected, and expected became demanded. I look around the table at my laughing family. Dad's gold watch glints in the dim light, a gift to himself last Christmas. Mom's designer purse hangs off her chair, something she just had to have from the Nordstrom anniversary sale. Jade's 3rd new phone this year sits beside her plate. Meanwhile, my apartment still has the secondhand furniture I bought 5 years ago. My car is paid off, but showing its age. I'm saving for retirement while they're spending like there's no tomorrow. Under the table, I pull out my phone and text Tyler. They're doing it again. His response comes quickly. Walk away. Jim's the manager tonight. I already talked to him. Tyler, the one person who sees me clearly. I do the math in my head as I watch Mom order another bottle for the table. $890 and climbing. The weight of it settles on my shoulders, not just the money, but the responsibility they've placed there without asking, without thanks. Mom lifts her glass. To family, she says, meeting everyone's eyes but mine. That's when I know. 3 years of this is enough. I stand up, holding my phone as if it's just vibrated. I'm gonna step outside and take this call real quick. No one really looks at me. Dad nods absently, already launching into a story about his golf game. Mom adjusts her necklace. Logan and Jade are arguing about some reality television show. I walk toward the door, each step feeling strangely momentous. At the threshold, I pause and look back. My family continues eating, drinking, la finga tableau of pleasure at someone else's expense. For one heartbeat, doubt flutters in my chest. Then I remember Jade's smirk, the casual way they order whatever they want without a single thank you. I push through the door and step into the cool night air. I don't look back. The hostess smiles as I pass. Leaving already? Yes, I say, surprised by the steadiness in my voice. I'm finished. And I am. Finally, completely finished. What would you do if your family treated you like nothing more than a walking wallet? Would you keep paying silently? Or would you finally stand up for yourself? I chose self-respect, but the price was higher than any dinner bill. Stay with me to see what happened when the check finally arrived at the table. I sit in my car, engine off, listening to rain patter against the windshield. The parking lot of Marino's glows orange under sodium lights, each raindrop catching light like tiny falling stars. My phone lights up again the 7th time in 12 minutes. The screen displays our family group chat. 3 dots appear, disappear, then reappear as someone types, deletes, reconsiders. I don't need to read the messages to know what's happening inside. The thought of Jim approaching their table sends a chill down my spine that has nothing to do with the car's cooling interior. My phone buzzes again. This time, I look. Jade, where are you? The manager said the bill hasn't been paid. Logan, this is not funny. We're sitting here humiliated. Mom, Ellis, is something wrong? Dad, answer your phone right now. I see Jim in my mind's eye, tall, thin, perpetually concerned, approaching their table with practiced professionalism. I'm sorry to interrupt, but it seems Miss Morrison's card has been removed from our payment system. Jade's face would shift, first disbelief breaking through her perfect composure, those carefully shaped eyebrows shooting upward as her champagne glass hovers halfway to her lips. Mom would fumble in her designer, purse the $1,200 Prada she absolutely needed last month. Her fingers, adorned with the anniversary diamonds Dad gave her, that I helped him choose, would tremble slightly as she searches for a rarely used credit card. Dad's face would redden beneath his tan, that particular shade of crimson that appears when his dominance is challenged. The same color he turned when his golf buddy outbid him at the charity auction last summer. My phone buzzes with Tyler's message. They figure it out yet? I type back, in process, not going back. Another memory surfaces: Christmas dinner at the Capitol Grill. The bill, $650. I remember the weight of the leather folder in my hand, the quick mental calculation as I slid my card inside. The conversation never paused as plates were cleared. Not a single thank you, not even a glance. Then Logan's graduation celebration at Coastline. $1,200 for 8 people. This is my sister, Logan had said to his girlfriend's parents. She works in finance, not Ellis, who helped him study for entrance exams. Not Ellis, who proofread his essays. Just Ellis, who works in finance, Ellis the walking wallet. I gripped the steering wheel, remembering Jade's voice floating from the kitchen during Thanksgiving. Why save when Ellis has us covered? She'd laughed, unaware I stood just around the corner, pumpkin pie in hand. The heat of humiliation rising in my cheeks matched only by the spreading coldness in my chest. Somewhere along the way, my financial success became my family identity. The realization sits heavy in my stomach, solid as a stone. My phone lights up again. Tyler, you finally did it. I'm proud of you. Marie from work had warned me months ago. We were reviewing quarterly projections when she noticed me calculating my portion of Dad's upcoming birthday. They're using you, she'd said bluntly. You know that, right? I defended them then. That's what family does. We take care of each other. When was the last time they took care of you? Marie had asked. I had no answer. My apartment, small but carefully furnished, was another quiet rebellion. Dad had pushed me toward luxury high-rises when I got promoted. You've made it, he'd insisted. Show it. But I chose this modest place instead, with its morning light and reading nook. My private sanctuary that no family member had visited in over a year. Messages continue flooding my phone as I start the engine. I imagine them inside scrambling to cover a bill approaching $1,000. Mom's credit card might be declined. She rarely uses it. Dad would be forced to pull out his emergency card, the one he keeps for real situations. Logan might need to call his girlfriend for help. I drive away from Marino's, streetlights blurring slightly as I blink rapidly. Jade, I can't believe you would embarrass us like this. Logan, the manager is standing here waiting. Mom, Ellis, please call us back immediately. Dad, this behavior is unacceptable. The words blurred together, accusation after accusation. No one asks if I'm okay. No one wonders why I left. The messages focus only on their embarrassment, their inconvenience. I pull into my apartment complex, park in my usual spot. The familiar surroundings settle me. This is my space, my life, my choices. With steady fingers, I type my response. Nothing's wrong. I just thought it was time for everyone to handle their own part for once. The group chat falls silent. I imagine them staring at their phones, shock rippling across the table like a stone dropped in still water. I turn off notifications with a deliberate tap. The sudden silence feels like opening windows after a storm, fresh air rushing in, clearing stagnation. Inside my apartment, I kick off my shoes and curl into my reading chair, tucking my legs beneath me. The small table lamp casts a warm circle of light that doesn't quite reach the corners of the room. For the first time in years, the quiet doesn't feel lonely. It feels like freedom. This modest space, once a compromise between what I could afford and what would placate my family's expectation, suddenly feels different. The secondhand bookshelf, the throw blanket from a street fair, the watercolor I painted in college, all mine, chosen by me, for me. Not a prison of financial obligation. A sanctuary of self-respect. Have you ever been taken advantage of by the very people who should support you most? When is enough finally enough? Tell me in the comments if you've had to draw a hard line with family and what happened afterward. Ellis's family isn't done with her yet, not by a long shot. The doorbell pierces the quiet of my Sunday morning like an alarm. Not a gentle chime, but an insistent buzz-hold buzz that makes my coffee slosh over the rim of my mug. When it doesn't stop after 30 seconds, I set down my half-read financial journal and pad across the hardwood floor in my fuzzy socks. Through the peephole's distorted fisheye, I see them all, 4 of them, crowded in the narrow hallway outside my apartment. Dad's jaw works back and forth, a sure sign he's grinding his teeth. Mom dabs at her eyes with a handkerchief, the embroidered one Grandma left her. Logan shifts his weight from foot to foot, hands shoved deep in his pockets. And Jade, front and center, jabs her manicured finger toward my doorbell again. My hand hovers over the deadbolt. I could pretend I'm not home. I could turn up the morning news and drown them out until they leave. But they just come back. This confrontation was always coming. I unlock the door and pull it open. Finally, Jade huffs, brushing past me without waiting for an invitation. The others follow in her wake, Mom with a wounded glance, Dad with a curt nod, Logan with an awkward half smile that dies before it fully forms. They position themselves around my modest living room like they're staging an intervention. Dad immediately begins pacing the perimeter, running his finger along my IKEA bookshelf, as if checking for dust. Mom sinks into my reading chair, handkerchief pressed to her nose, her designer purse, the one I remember her needing last season, tucked beside her. Jade plants herself directly in front of my television, arms crossed over her chest, while Logan hovers uncertainly near the exit, as if preserving the option to flee. I remain standing, hands clasped in front of me. The contrast must be stark, their agitation against my stillness. Last night, I prepared for this moment, rehearsing responses in my bathroom mirror until they felt natural in my mouth. What were you thinking, embarrassing us like that? Dad launches in, his voice tight with controlled anger. His pacing increases. 3 steps right. Pivot. 3 steps left. The manager had to come over. People were looking. We've always been there for you, Ellis. Always. Mom's voice warbles with emotion, but her eyes remain dry behind the handkerchief. I notice she's wearing her pearl earrings, the ones she mentioned buying herself with birthday money from Ellis. One dinner. Jade throws her hands up dramatically. You threw a tantrum over one dinner? Do you know how ridiculous that makes you look? I sit quietly in the center of their storm, letting them exhaust their prepared speeches. Logan contributes nothing, studying the carpet pattern as if it contains secret messages. What do you have to say for yourself? Dad demands when their initial volley meets only silence. I've rehearsed this moment, but now that it's here, my heart hammers against my ribs. Still, I stand, straightening my spine one vertebra at a time. I've paid for almost every gathering in the past 3 years, I say, my voice steadier than I feel. No one ever asked if it was okay, just became expected. I'm not a wallet, I'm a person. The silence that follows has physical weight. Mom's handkerchief freezes mid-dab. Dad stops pacing so abruptly he rocks on his heels. Even Jade's perpetual eye roll pauses halfway through its revolution. I walk to my desk and retrieve a folder I prepared weeks ago. the one I never thought I'd have the courage to share. Inside is a spreadsheet, because of course there is. I've tracked every celebration since my promotion, every credit card statement, every casual, "Oh, Ellis will get it." I place it on the coffee table and open it so they can all see. Mother's Day brunch, $342. Logan's job interview celebration, $538. Dad's retirement party, $1,890. I flip through the meticulously organized receipts. Jade's breakup dinner, Christmas, Thanksgiving, Mom's birthday, the just because dinners. The final page shows a highlighted total, $17,280. This isn't about generosity. I continue into their stunned silence. It's about respect. I would have happily treated occasionally if anyone had ever acknowledged it. But it became an expectation, not a gift. Jade recovers first, her face flushing crimson. "You embarrassed the entire family over one dinner? That's messed up." She stalks toward me, finger pointed. "You make more than the rest of us combined. What else are you spending it on? Your exciting life of financial journals and sensible shoes?" "This wasn't just one dinner," I reply, holding my ground. "This was the final straw after years of silence. After all we've sacrificed for you." Mom's tears now fall freely, her voice rising to that familiar pitch that used to send me scrambling to make amends. "All the opportunities we gave you, the support through college." Something inside me shifts. "Name one sacrifice you've made for me in the last 5 years." The question lands like a stone in still water. The ripples of silence spread outward as they search for an answer. Any answer. "We're family," Dad finally says, as if that explains everything. "Yes," I nod. "And family should respect each other." Jade snatches her purse from the couch. "You'll regret this," she hisses, moving toward the door. "Don't think you're better than us." "I'm not better," I say quietly. "I'm just done being taken advantage of." They exit one by one, a reverse procession. Logan with a backward glance I can't quite interpret. Mom with a fresh wave of tears. Jade with a dramatic door swing that would be comical in another context. Dad is last. His hand on the doorknob, he turns to deliver his parting shot. "Your mother raised you better than this." The words are meant to cut, to reopen that lifetime wound of wanting to be good enough. But something has hardened in me, a protective shell around my newly discovered self-respect. "She raised me to respect myself too," I say as the door closes. Alone in my apartment, I release a breath I've been holding for 3 years. The silence feels different, now not lonely, but peaceful. For the first time in a long time, I haven't paid for my family's approval. And that feels worth every penny I didn't spend. When you finally stand your ground, those who benefited from your silence often become your loudest critics. Has someone ever made you feel guilty for setting healthy boundaries? Share your experience below. In Stay With Me, Alice's story is about to take an unexpected turn that might change how you see family obligations forever. The familiar hum of fluorescent lights bathes my office in a clinical glow as I review the Henderson portfolio. Numbers align in perfect columns on my monitor, reliable, predictable, unlike family. My silenced phone buzzes again in my desk drawer the 5th time in 30 minutes. I don't need to look to know who it is. The small wooden drawer vibrates against my knee, but I keep my eyes fixed on the screen, feeling strangely liberated by this small act of rebellion. "Ellis?" Marie pokes her head in, her brows lifting when she sees me. "You seem different today." "Good different or concerning different?" I ask, saving the report. She leans against the door frame. "Focused, like you've shed something heavy." I feel the corners of my mouth lift into a genuine smile. "I have." "We're heading to Mancini's for lunch," she says. "Join us?" The old Ellis would have calculated the cost, worried about appearing stingy, picked up the check to ensure everyone still liked her. Instead, I shake my head. "Not today. I'm taking care of myself today." Marie's nod carries no judgment, only respect. She disappears down the hallway, leaving me to the blessed quiet of my own company. My drawer buzzes again. With a sigh, I slide it open and glance at the screen. 7 missed calls from Mom. 3 texts from Logan, 1 email from Dad, 4 Instagram notifications from Jade. Mom's voicemail plays in my ear, her voice wavering between anger and pleading. Ellis, honey, we've always been there for you. Always. This silent treatment isn't like you. We're worried. I delete it and move to the next. Your father is beside himself. Is this how you repay everything we've done for you over one dinner? And the next. I raised you better than this, Ellis Catherine Morrison. By the 6th message, tears have crept into her voice. Please, sweetheart, just call us. We're family. Family sticks together. Dad's email is shorter, more direct. Your behavior was unacceptable and embarrassed this entire family. We expect an apology and a conversation about family responsibilities. Soon. Logan's texts attempt an awkward middle ground. Hey sis, everyone's pretty heated on. Maybe we could grab coffee? Just us. I get why you're upset, but family's family, you know. But it's Jade's Instagram that truly twists the knife. A filtered throwback photo of our family at Thanksgiving 3 years ago, standing slightly apart, everyone smiling. The caption reads, "Missing simpler times when some people valued family over money. Heartbroken. Family first." 27 likes. 3 sympathetic comments about selfish siblings. Something hardens in my chest, not like concrete this time, but like steel being tempered. With deliberate movements, I open my messaging app and Emily group chat. My fingers hover over the keyboard. I type, delete, and type again. If I'm only valued when I'm paying, then I'm no longer part of this conversation. Don't contact me unless it's with respect. I press send before I can second-guess myself, then block the chat. That evening, I stand before the photo wall in my living room. Crystal frames hold snapshots of a family that exists only in these frozen moments, Dad teaching me to ride a bike, Mom braiding my hair, Logan and me building sandcastles, Jade and I in matching dresses at Easter. One by one, I take them down, considering each before making my decision. Some return to the wall. Others go into a box I slide under my bed. Not discarded, just distanced. Tyler arrives with takeout as I hang the last frame. "How are you holding up?" he asks, setting containers on my small dining table. "Better than expected." I sink onto my couch, suddenly exhausted. "But I think I need to be clear about boundaries with you too." His eyes widen slightly, but he sits across from me, listening intently as I explain my need for financial independence, my fear of being valued only for what I provide, my determination to build relationships based on mutual respect. I don't want to be anyone's ATM again. I finish, throat tight. Tyler takes my hand, his palm warm against mine. "I hear you, and I'm with you." 3 days later, an email from the firm's managing director lands in my inbox. I've been promoted to senior financial manager effective immediately. The office erupts in genuine congratulations. Marie organizes an impromptu celebration in the break room with supermarket cupcakes and paper cups of sparkling cider. No one expects me to pay for anything. No one wants anything except to share in my success. My mentor, Diane, insists on taking me to dinner that weekend. When the check arrives, she smoothly hands over her card. "My treat," she says firmly when I reach for my purse. "You've earned this." I struggle with the unfamiliar feeling of accepting generosity without strings attached. "Thank you," I manage. The following Tuesday, Mom appears in the lobby of my office building. Her face is carefully made up, but her eyes are rimmed in red. I guide her to the Courtyard Cafe, its public setting ensuring our conversation will remain civil. "We miss you," she says immediately, clutching her purse like a shield. "Family sticks together, Ellis, always." I stir my coffee slowly. "I love you, Mom." Her shoulders relax slightly. But love without respect isn't love at all. Her eyes fill with tears, but I don't reach to wipe them away. Some lessons need to be felt to be learned. I arrive 20 minutes early at Barney's Diner, the kind of place where the vinyl booths have small tiers repaired with duct tape, and the coffee comes in thick white mugs that have seen thousands of refills. Not a crystal glass or sommelier in sight. Perfect. My hands remain steady as I slide into the corner booth that gives me a clear view of both the entrance and the emergency exit. Old habits from my childhood always have an escape route. I position myself on the bench facing the door and arrange the laminated menu in front of me like a shield. The waitress, a woman with silver-streaked hair piled into a practical bun, approaches with a coffee pot. "Just you today, hon." "4 more coming," I say, checking my watch. "But I'll take that coffee while I wait." I wrap my hands around the mug, drawing warmth into my fingers while mentally rehearsing the words I've practiced for 3 weeks. 3 weeks of silence. 3 weeks of ignored calls and deleted voicemails. 3 weeks of finding my voice. The bell above the door jingles, and they enter like a funeral procession, Dad first, shoulders squared in his tailored blazer. Then Mom, with her nervous smile, followed by Logan, who scans the room like he's checking for witnesses. And finally Jade, sunglasses perched on her head despite the overcast day. They spot me immediately. There's a moment of collective hesitation before they approach, as if crossing the worn linoleum requires special courage. "Ellis." Dad slides into the booth opposite me, the others arranging themselves around him. No hugs, no kisses on cheeks. The temperature seems to drop 10 degrees. I don't smile. I don't frown. I simply nod and take another sip of coffee. Dad clears his throat, straightening his silverware with precise movements. "I think it's time we put this foolishness behind us, don't you?" The words land like a slap. Foolishness. 3 years of financial exploitation reduced to childish behavior. Mom reaches across the table, her manicured fingers stopping just short of touching mine. "We're family, Ellis. Families stay together no matter what." Logan shifts beside her, eyes fixed on a ketchup stain near his elbow. "It's been weird without you," he mumbles, the closest thing to sincerity I've heard yet. Then Jade leans forward, her voice dropping into the honeyed tone she uses for job interviews and first dates. "I know I can be thoughtless sometimes. We all get caught up in our own lives, and maybe we didn't realize how you felt. But that's no reason to throw away years of family connection." The subtle blame wrapped in velvet words, "how you felt, not what we did." Throw away, like I'm the destroyer, rather than the one who finally stopped accepting destruction. I let the silence stretch until they've all run out of prepared speeches. The waitress approaches, but I give a small shake of my head, and she retreats. "I need to know," I say finally, my voice quiet but clear, "if you understand why I walked away." The question hangs in the air between us. Mom blinks rapidly. Logan studies his hands. Jade's smile hardens at the edges. Dad waves dismissively, his gold watch catching the fluorescent light. "You felt underappreciated. We get it. Can we move on now?" Felt underappreciated, not were underappreciated. The distinction speaks volumes. I place my hands flat on the table, fingers splayed against the cool laminate. The gesture anchors me as I lean slightly forward. "That's not enough," I say evenly. "I need actual change, not just temporary awareness." From my purse, I withdraw a folded sheet of paper that I've revised a dozen times, making sure every word reflects exactly what I need. I slide it across the table toward the center. They stare at it as if I've offered them a live grenade. "What's this?" Mom asks, though she makes no move to pick it up. "My terms for reconciliation." Dad snatches the paper, unfolding it with sharp movements. His eyes scan the contents, his complexion darkening with each line. Mom reads over his shoulder, her lips parting slightly. Logan cranes his neck to see, while Jade simply waits, arms crossed. "Separate checks at all future gatherings?" Dad sputters. "Acknowledgement of past financial imbalance? A moratorium on comments about your spending habits?" He slaps the paper down. "These are ridiculous demands." I stand slowly, gathering my purse. The calmness in my movements surprises even me. "They're not demands. They're boundaries. There's a difference." Dad's face flushes deeper. Mom's eyes fill with tears. Logan looks torn between embarrassment and admiration. But it's Jade who surprises me. "Wait," she says, one hand raised. The usual smirk is gone, replaced by something I haven't seen on her face in years: uncertainty. I think. I think she's right. Logan's head snaps toward her. Dad's mouth opens and closes without sound. Mom freezes mid-dab of her handkerchief. What? Dad finally manages. Jade shrugs, not meeting anyone's eyes. We've been treating her like an ATM. If Ryan did that to me, I'd have lost it way sooner than she did. The admission cracks something in the tableau of family unity they've presented. For the first time in 3 weeks, I feel a flutter of hope beneath my ribs, small and fragile, but present. I remain standing, not quite ready to sit back down, but not walking away either. This unexpected moment of honesty has created a fork in our path, and I'm suddenly uncertain which direction we'll take. I adjust the small bouquet of sunflowers in the center of my dining table, stepping back to survey my handiwork. The tableau second-hand find I refinished myself last month gleams under soft lighting. Nothing fancy, just a simple lasagna, garlic bread, and a fresh salad. My kind of hospitality. Need help with anything else? Tyler leans against the kitchen door frame, dish towel slung over his shoulder. The easy comfort between us still surprises me sometimes. I think we're good. I smooth the napkin needlessly. Thanks for being here tonight. He crosses to me, hands settling on my shoulders. Wouldn't miss it. You okay? Before I can answer, the doorbell rings. My shoulders tense involuntarily beneath his fingers. It's just dinner, he reminds me softly. I nod, square my shoulders, and move to the door. When I open it, Mom stands there, Logan slightly behind her. She clutches a glass baking dish with both hands like it's a peace offering. Homemade apple crisp, she announces, her voice carrying a forced brightness. Still warm. Come in. My smile feels genuine, if cautious. The absence of Dad and Jade hangs in the air between us, unmentioned but unmissable. Logan steps forward, awkwardly offering a bottle of wine that I notice isn't from the top shelf. Hey Ellis, place looks nice. The greetings are stilted but sincere. I accept Mom's dessert with both hands, our fingers brushing in a moment of connection that feels more honest than 1,000 family dinners before. Tyler's just opening the wine, I say, leading them to the table. Nothing fancy tonight, just homemade. It smells wonderful, Mom says, and I catch the slight surprise in her voice as if she's just remembering I'm capable of more than signing checks. We settle into dinner, and the conversation flows more naturally than I expected. No mentions of bills or who's paying. Just people talking. How's the Anderson project going? Logan asks between bites of lasagna. You mentioned last time it was keeping you busy. I blink, momentarily startled by his genuine interest in my work. It's good, challenging, but we're making progress. The client finally approved the third quarter projections. This is delicious, Ellis, Mom says, reaching for a second helping of salad. Let me help clean up after. Small moments, authentic connections. I feel something unclenching inside me that I hadn't realized was still so tight. But there are empty chairs at my table. The absence speaks volumes. Dad's still? I finally ask, letting the question hang. Mom sets down her fork with deliberate care. Your father isn't ready yet, she says quietly. Jade sides with him. Logan studies his plate. They think you're being stubborn. I absorb this without surprise. I can only control my own choices, I finally, not their responses. The truth settles over us, neither comforting nor devastating. Just real. Later I raise my glass. To rebuilding, I offer. One honest conversation at a time. They echo the sentiment, and I remember our lunch last week, the careful division of the check, everyone paying their share. Mom had started to say, Ellis could get before catching herself, a flash of awareness crossing her face. Logan and I had exchanged knowing glances but appreciated the effort. Progress isn't perfection. After they leave, I stand in my quiet apartment, running my finger along the edge of the table. The evening feels incomplete, yet whole in its own way. Family healing is messy, imperfect, unresolved, and that's okay. I've learned there's freedom in accepting relationships for what they are, not what I wish they could be. Some people will change when shown a mirror, others will break it rather than see their reflection. I carry the last dishes to the sink, watching moonlight spill across my small but sufficient kitchen. The weight on my shoulders feels different now, lighter, but still present. My own weight to carry, not someone else's expectations. Some prices, I whisper to myself, are too high even for family. The lottery ticket trembles between my fingers, the 6 numbers staring back at me like accusers. $39 million. My coffee cup slips, spilling dark liquid across the stack of bills spread across my kitchen table. The electric notice stamped, "Final warning." The credit card statement with its minimum payment circled in red. The rent increase letter I've read 14 times since yesterday. I laugh. A short, sharp sound that bounces off the walls of my studio apartment. The irony isn't lost on me that just 24 hours ago, these bills were mountains. Now they're nothing but paper soaked in coffee. This can't be real, I whisper to the empty room, but the numbers don't change. Last night's family dinner flashes through my mind. Colton's arm slung casually around my shoulder as he walked me to my car. Just until my client pays me next month, Lana. You're always so good with money. His practiced smile, the one that worked on our parents for 34 years, the one that had worked on me until now. I'd written the check knowing my account would nearly empty, watching him tuck it into his designer wallet without a thank you. But instead of joy, all I feel is suspicion. Who in my life truly cares about me versus my potential windfall? The question settles in my stomach like a stone. I reach for my phone, scroll past Mom's name, past Sierra's, past Colton's. I don't call any of them. Instead, I search lottery winner, lawyer, blind trust, impress. Call on the first reputable firm that appears. I need to protect myself, I tell the receptionist, my voice steadier than I feel. Friday evening plays back in my mind while I wait on hold. Standing in my boss's doorway as he explained why Jennifer was getting the promotion instead of me. She just has that leadership quality, he'd said, shuffling papers, not meeting my eyes. Never mind that I'd been doing both our jobs for months while she extended her lunch breaks. I'd stopped for gas afterward, the needle hovering below empty, my checking account balance almost matching. $5 for the ticket had been a bitter whim. A middle finger to a universe that seemed determined to keep me running in place. You'll figure it out, Lana. Mom had said last Thanksgiving when I mentioned my money concerns. You always do. Not an offer of help. Just an observation delivered between compliments about Sierra's new kitchen renovation and Colton's entrepreneurial spirit that had produced nothing but maxed out credit cards and loans from family members that never got repaid. My phone buzzes in my hand. Colton. Of course. Morning, sis, he says when I answer, his voice carrying that familiar note of practiced charm. Listen, about that investment opportunity I mentioned last night. You need more money. I finish for him. A beat of silence. Just a small loan. 2,000? My investor meeting got pushed back and I need to think about it, I say, the words unfamiliar in my mouth. Another pause, longer this time. I can almost see him blinking in surprise. Think about it? Since when do you need to think about helping family? Power shifts between us, subtle but unmistakable. For the first time in our relationship, I'm not immediately agreeing. The sensation is dizzying. Since now, I reply, my voice quiet but firm. Last Christmas surfaces in my memory, everyone tearing into their presents in Mom and Frank's living room. Sierra's genuine leather briefcase. Colton's expensive watch. Mom's diamond earrings from Frank. My gifts to them had strained my credit card. Their gifts to me, a practical planner, to organize your job search for a real career, bath salts, to relax, you seem stressed about money lately, and a budget cookbook. I hang up without saying goodbye, something I've never done before. My gaze drifts back to the lottery ticket, then to the leather-bound journal I bought myself for my birthday last month, empty until now. I open to the first page and write, the $39 million test, across the top. Below, I list every family member's name, every friend, every person who's ever made me feel small while taking what I offered. It's time to see who truly cares about Lana Briggs versus who's just been using her all along. The notification chime from my phone feels like an intrusion in my silent apartment. 3 days after discovering my lottery win, I've barely spoken to anyone, preferring the company of spreadsheets and legal websites to people who might notice something different about me. I tap the screen, expecting another promotional email. Instead, A group text appears, one I wasn't meant to see. Sierra accidentally included me in a conversation with Colton, Mom, and Frank. Colton, did Lana give you that money? She turned me down when I asked for the investment cash. Sierra, seriously? She always caves. What's gotten into her? Mom, she needs to learn responsibility. We've been enabling her too long. Frank, agreed. She always lands on her feet anyway. Remember when she got laid off 2 years ago and managed rent without asking us for help? My fingers tighten around the phone. 2 years ago. When I ate ramen for 6 weeks straight and sold my grandmother's pendant to make rent after being laid off from a job Frank had called just temporary anyway. Tears spring hot and fast, but dry just as quickly. Something hardens in my chest as I take screenshots, creating a new folder on my laptop labeled, The $39 Million Test. The first entry, proof my family has been coordinating their approach to me for years. An hour later, Miss Briggs? Attorney Marlene Weber extends her hand across her desk at the downtown coffee shop we've chosen for our meeting. Your blind trust paperwork is nearly complete. I slide my notebook across the table, showing her my methodical documentation of family loans never repaid, birthdays forgotten, and now, the group text. Most clients come in panicking or with wild spending plans, she says, eyebrows lifting as she flips through my organized notes. You're remarkably methodical. Always have been, I reply, straightening the sugar packets, someone left scattered across our table. Just never had anyone notice before. Marlene closes my notebook. I should warn you, lottery winners often discover relatives they never knew existed. What about the relatives they wish didn't exist? The question slips out before I can stop it. Her eyes soften with understanding. Those are often the most dangerous. I've seen families destroy winners, Miss Briggs. Completely destroy them. Code. She shares stories of winners bankrupted by siblings' failed businesses, parents' medical procedures, insurance would have covered, cousins' gambling debts. With each example, my test feels less like petty revenge and more like necessary self-preservation. Once you give money, the relationship changes forever. Marlene warns. They'll expect it again, resent you if you refuse, and you'll never know if they value you or your bank account. That night, I craft my layoff story with the precision of a surgeon. I need it to seem urgent enough to test who helps, but believable enough that no one searches for inconsistencies. I rehearse in front of my bathroom mirror, the slight catch in my voice when mentioning rent, the downward glance when discussing medical bills I can't cover. Sleep evades me as scenarios play through my mind. What if no one offers help? The confirmation of complete emotional abandonment feels like a stone in my stomach. What if they all rush to assist? Would that change my plans? The ceiling offers no answers as I stare upward, mentally arranging new bank accounts, calculating donation percentages, and planning how to maintain my modest appearance while millions sit in my blind trust. By morning, I've created a spreadsheet of exactly how much help I'll claim to need. $4,200 total. $2,100 for rent, $1, $800 for medical bills from an emergency room visit, and $300 for utilities. Specific numbers seem more authentic than round figures. The manila envelope from Marlene arrives by courier before noon. Inside, documents confirm my new identity as the sole trustee of the Wilson Foundation, named after my grandmother. I trace my fingers over the embossed letterhead, imagining her pride. That afternoon, I sign my first check, a $5,000 anonymous donation to the women's shelter downtown where I volunteered after college. The pen feels heavy in my hand as I address the envelope. As I seal it, a question surfaces that I can't easily dismiss. Am I becoming what I resent? Is testing people's loyalty itself a betrayal of trust? The methodical recording of failures, the careful construction of a false crisis, these feel like manipulation, the very thing I've resented in my family. But perhaps there's a difference between manipulation for personal gain and self-protection after years of being taken advantage of. Maybe this isn't a test of their loyalty to me, but a final confirmation of what I already know to be true. I place the donation in the mailbox, raising the red flag with a decisive click. Tomorrow, I'll begin telling my family about my supposed layoff. Tonight, I sleep more soundly than I have in years, wrapped in the unexpected comfort of having power over my own story for the first time. A week later, the vineyard glimmers in the California sunset as Mom raises her wine glass. Frank and I have some exciting news. She beams, her diamond bracelet catching the light. We've just purchased Sunny Ridge Vineyards. Applause erupts around the table while I force my lips into something resembling a smile. The pink slip tucked in my purse feels heavier now, a secret I've carried for 9 days. It's been our dream forever, Frank adds, his arm around Mom's shoulders, finally taking the plunge. I take a sip of water, noticing how Sierra's eyes narrow at my non-alcoholic choice. My sister's manicured fingers tap against her own wine glass, impatience building until she can no longer contain herself. Well, since we're sharing good news, Sierra announces, pulling out her phone. Look at our kitchen renovation. She swipes through photos of marble countertops and custom cabinetry that probably cost more than my annual salary. The contractor just finished yesterday. Worth every penny. Stunning, Mom gushes. Sierra slides her phone back into her designer purse. Which reminds me, Lana, are you free Tuesday and Thursday? Our nanny needs those days off, and Micah has swim lessons. Before I can answer, Colton clears his throat. Speaking of investments, he interrupts, leaning forward with that familiar gleam in his eyes. I've been developing something revolutionary, a subscription service for pet supplements with personalized formulations. I watch him work the table, describing profit margins and market gaps with practiced enthusiasm. The same pitch he's given for his meal delivery service, his wellness app, his organic skincare line, all funded by family investments that never materialized returns. I'm looking for initial stakeholders, he concludes, his gaze sweeping over each of us. Count us in, Frank says immediately. We should all discuss the family vacation, Mom interjects, passing the breadbasket. Cabo in October. We'll split the beach house 6 ways, of course. Equal shares for everyone. Equal shares. The words hang in the air as I calculate bus fare for tomorrow's commute. My car sits disabled in the apartment complex parking lot, the repair estimate more than my checking account balance. Sounds wonderful, I manage, though my throat tightens. Later that week, I stare at the notice taped to my door. 15% rent increase effective next month. My hands tremble as I unlock my apartment, flipping on the light in my studio that suddenly feels smaller than ever. I kick off my shoes, my feet aching from the 90-minute bus ride. 3 transfers. No one noticed when I mentioned my car trouble at dinner. No offers of rides or loans or even sympathy. Night after night, I sit at my kitchen table researching dividend stocks and mutual funds, tax shelters, and philanthropic trusts. To my family, I'm frantically submitting resumes. In reality, I'm planning how to manage wealth. They can't imagine wealth I can't tell them about because of their reaction to my supposed hardship. The silence of my apartment wraps around me like a physical weight. I check my phone, nothing from Mom, Sierra, or Colton. Not even a text asking if I'm okay. When my phone finally buzzes, I nearly drop it in surprise. Lana, it's Charlotte. From college? I was thinking about you today and wanted to check in. How are you really doing? The simple question breaks something loose inside me. When was the last time anyone asked that without following up with a request? 2 days later, I arrive at Mom and Frank's vineyard housewarming with my decision firmly made. The afternoon sun beats down on rows of grapevines as guests mill about with champagne flutes. I've been laid off, I announce when we're all seated for lunch under the pergola. Silence falls. Forks pause midair. I'm going to need help with rent and some medical bills this month. I continue, the words practiced but still difficult. About $4,000 total. Mom exchanges glances with Frank. We just can't right now with the vineyard investment. You understand. Have you tried cutting back on luxuries? Sierra suggests, adjusting her diamond earrings. Coffee shops? Eating out? I glance down at my second-hand dress, wondering what luxuries she imagines I enjoy. I'll call you tomorrow. Colton promises quickly, but actually this might be perfect timing for you to join my new venture. Ground floor opportunity. I open my leather journal calmly, writing each response while they speak. The power has shifted. I'm no longer waiting for their approval or help. I'm documenting their failure to provide either. When dessert arrives, I stand, gathering my purse. You're leaving? Mom asks, her voice tinged with practiced guilt. Frank made his famous tiramisu. I have a bus to catch, I reply simply. But we haven't even discussed the vacation deposits, Sierra protests. I walk away without answering, my back straight despite the weight I've carried for years. The next morning, my phone rings. Aunt Emma, Mom's older sister who lives 3 hours north. Your mother mentioned your situation, she says without preamble. Tell me what you need, not what they think you need. Her questions are specific, practical, not dismissive platitudes or vague sympathy. We meet at a diner halfway between our homes that day. Emma slides an envelope across the table. $2,500, she says quietly. It's what I can manage right now. I start to protest, but she raises her hand. My pull-out couch is always available if you need it. Back home, I finalize the paperwork for my nonprofit foundation, Table for One, dedicated to supporting middle-aged women living alone through financial emergencies. Over coffee with Charlotte 2 days later, I outline her role as outreach director, her eyes widening at the salary I propose. That evening, I send a group text to my family. Need to talk about my situation, my apartment, tomorrow at 7. Important. As I set down my phone, I feel something unfamiliar. Not anger or resentment or hurt, but freedom. The test is nearly complete, and the results are exactly what I suspected. Everyone has shown me exactly who they are. Now it's time to show them who I've become. The next day, the afternoon sun slants through my blinds as I arrange the final pieces of my chessboard. Bills spread across the coffee table not haphazardly, but precisely positioned. The electric notice peeks from beneath my credit card statement. The rent increase letter sits front and center. My notebook rests on the side table where Sierra always places her purse. Inside, every rejection carefully documented in my neat handwriting. Every, not right now, and you should budget better, recorded with dates and exact phrasing. I open my laptop, position it on the kitchen counter facing the living room. The browser displays job listings I've supposedly been pursuing. The confirmation email from Charlotte about my new position as executive director sits minimized but visible in the corner, technically true, though no one will understand its significance yet. You've got this, I whisper to myself, smoothing my simple blue button-down shirt. Not too polished, I can't appear suddenly prosperous, but clean, presentable. A woman with renewed purpose. The doorbell rings precisely at 7 that evening. I count to 10 before answering. Lana? Mom bustles in first, Frank trailing behind. We brought sandwiches. I figured you might not have much in the fridge. Thanks. I accept the bag with a small smile. That was thoughtful. Sierra arrives with her husband Tom. Colton straggles in last, 20 minutes late as usual, offering no excuse. I watch their eyes scan my apartment, the subtle relief washing over their faces when they spot the job listings on my laptop. The tension in Mom's shoulders eases. Frank's smile becomes less forced. The collective sigh is nearly audible. I won't be asking them for money today. So, I say once everyone settles, I wanted to let you all know that things have turned around for me. I've accepted a new position with significantly better pay. Oh, honey, Mom claps her hands. That's wonderful news. Thank God, Sierra mutters, not quite under her breath. Colton leans forward, suddenly interested. That's great timing, sis. About that investment opportunity we discussed. Now that you're back on your feet? Mom interjects. You'll be able to contribute to the family vacation we're planning for fall. We've already reserved 3 cabins at Lake Tahoe. Sierra nods enthusiastically. And my nanny's on vacation next week. I was going to ask if you could watch the kids for a few days. You know, now that you're not job hunting. I reach for my notebook, opening it casually. Funny thing about asking for help, I say, my voice steady. When I needed $800 for rent last month, you said, and I quote, I find the page, running my finger down to the entry. We just invested everything in the vineyard. You understand financial priorities, Lana. The room goes silent. And Sierra, I continue, turning the page, when I asked if I could borrow your car while mine was in the shop. You said you couldn't risk the car seats getting messed up, yet now you want me to watch your children for an entire week? You're keeping a record of what we say? Colton's face flushes. That's weird, Lana. No weirder than you asking me for $2,000 the morning after I told you I was laid off. I meet his eyes directly, which is right here, with the date and time of the call. Their expressions transform like a slideshow relief to confusion to defensiveness. Sierra's nervous laugh breaks the silence. Mom's hand flutters to her throat. As I watch their expressions shift from relief to confusion to defensiveness, I wonder, should I reveal everything now and watch their world collapse? Or was the knowledge that I'd seen their true colors enough? The doorbell chimes again. That must be Aunt Emma, I say, grateful for the interruption. She's running late. Emma bustles in, her arms full. Sorry I'm behind schedule. Traffic was awful coming from Roseville. She hands me a small gift bag. Just a little something for your fresh start, honey. Inside is a delicate ceramic planter with a small jade plant. Plants symbolize new beginnings, she whispers, squeezing my shoulder. My phone rings, Charlotte's perfect timing exactly as planned. Excuse me, I say, stepping toward the kitchen. This might be about the new position. I keep my voice just loud enough for everyone to hear. Yes, Charlotte. The opportunity sounds perfect. Community outreach is exactly what I've wanted to focus on. Yes, I can start Monday. When I return to the living room, the contrast couldn't be more stark. Emma sits comfortably, chatting with Frank about gardening. The others perch awkwardly, exchanging glances. Before we go any further, I say, settling back into my chair, I want to be clear about something. Going forward, I won't be discussing my finances with anyone except my financial advisor. No loans, no investments, no contributions to family expenses beyond what I choose to give. Mom's smile tightens. We were just trying to teach you independence, Lana. That's what family does. Is it? I flipped through several pages of my notebook. Because when Colton needed bail money last year, you didn't teach him independence. You paid it immediately. Sierra laughs nervously. You're making it sound like we've been conspiring against you or something. Haven't you? I hold up my phone, displaying the group text I discovered. The one where they discussed how I always land on my feet and need to learn responsibility. Mom shifts uncomfortably. That's not what we meant. I've made an important decision about my future, I interrupt, my voice stronger than it's ever been in their presence. One that will affect all of us. Frank clears his throat. What kind of decision? I close my notebook, feeling the weight of 39 million reasons to change my life. But that revelation could wait for another day. Today was about something more valuable than money. I've decided to value myself the way I've always valued all of you. I say simply. And I think that's going to surprise everyone. Dad and Claudia arrived 40 minutes late, just missing the uncomfortable silence that followed my quiet documentation of Sierra's refusal to help. Dad's cologne announces his presence before the doorbell rings, the same expensive scent he's worn since I was a child, always promising luxury just beyond reach. There's our Lana. He booms, striding into my apartment like he's entering a boardroom. Claudia follows 3 steps behind, her smile professionally pleasant, eyes sweeping across my modest space. Dad doesn't bother with small talk. So, you're employed again? Good timing. Colton's business is really taking off, just needs that initial investment. Perfect opportunity now that you're back on your feet. The room shifts. Mom's eyes dart to Sierra, who suddenly finds her manicure fascinating. Colton straightens, nodding with rehearsed enthusiasm. Dad, I just started this job, I say, my voice steadier than I expected. And? Kim? His eyebrows rise as if I've missed something obvious. Family comes first, Lana. Always has. Mom steps in, hand on my arm. Family helps family, she says, the words practiced. We've always been there for you. I don't pull away from her touch, but I don't lean into it either. Something has solidified inside me like cement drying, becoming immovable. Your attitude lately, Dad shakes his head, settling into my armchair without invitation. That's why we've been distant. You've changed. The word attitude ignites something in my chest. I reach for the leather notebook beside me, its pages filled with years of disappointments I've carefully recorded. Since we're discussing family support, I say, opening to a marked page, let me share what being there for me looked like when I needed $4,200 for rent and medical bills. I turn to the first entry. Mom, when I called about my rent increase and doctor's bills, you said, and I quote, we just can't right now with the vineyard investment. You understand. Then you change the subject to Sierra's children. Mom's mouth opens, closes. I didn't mean... Sierra, I continue, my finger tracing her name. You suggested I cut back on luxuries while wearing new diamond earrings. Then you asked if I could watch the kids 3 days that week since your nanny had family visiting. Sierra's face flushes. That's completely out of context. Colton, you promised to call me back about a loan, then texted 3 hours later asking if I could review your business proposal instead. I flipped the page. Dad, when I finally reached you, you said my financial problems were character building and suggested I take a second job like you did back in the day. The room fills with the sound of uncomfortable shifting. My voice has transformed steady, confident, no longer seeking their approval. The tremor that once lived in my throat when confronting family has vanished. The only person who offered help without conditions was Emma. She didn't lecture me about budgeting or suggest I wasn't trying hard enough. She simply asked what I needed and then provided it. I closed the notebook gently. I've learned who my family truly is, and it's not defined by blood. My apartment, usually cramped with 5 visitors, suddenly feels spacious as they shift uncomfortably on my furniture. The power in the room has realigned. For the first time, I'm not the one feeling small. I place the notebook on the coffee table, centered like an exhibit. It contains not just their recent dismissals, but years of broken promises, conditional love, and subtle put-downs. Each entry meticulously dated, each comment recorded verbatim. You've been keeping score? Colton's voice cracks with defensive outrage. That's sick, Lana. No, I reply, meeting his gaze. I've been keeping records. There's a difference. Mom's eyes fill with tears, the ones she's always used to redirect uncomfortable conversations. She stands, arms outstretched for a hug I've never before refused. This time, I step back, my hand raised slightly between us. Please don't, I say, gentle but firm. Sweetheart, we never meant to hurt you, she whispers. I believe you, I say, and I do. You never thought about hurting me, because you never really thought about me at all. I remain standing while they stay seated, a reversal of family dynamics so complete it feels momentous. For once, I'm looking down at them instead of up and seeing them clearly. I don't need your money. I tell them, my voice quiet but carrying to every corner of the room. I never did. I needed your support, which costs nothing but means everything. The silence that follows feels physical, like something you could touch. They exchange glances, a family suddenly unsure of their script now that I've stopped following mine. The safety net they've taken for granted, reliable Lana, who always says yes, who never makes waves, has disappeared. Dad opens his mouth, closes it. Mom dabs at tears that haven't fallen. Sierra stares at her hands. Colton's jaw works silently. I wonder if Aunt Emma will ever learn about my lottery win. The thought floats through my mind as I walk toward my door and open it wide. I think we're done for today, I say, the words both a statement and a question about our future. One by one, they file past me, their confusion almost palpable. When the last one crosses the threshold, I close the door behind them gently, but with unmistakable finality. The grant approval forms spread across my desk like fallen autumn leaves. 6 months ago, these papers would have intimidated me. Now, I sign each one with confident strokes, no longer second-guessing every decision. My office at Table for One nonprofit gleams with morning light. Not extravagant, just mine. The antique wooden desk I chose myself. The wall color I selected without texting photos for family approval. Simple freedoms that once seemed impossible. I pause at the framed photograph of Charlotte and me flanking Marjorie, our first grant recipient. The 73-year-old widow's eyes sparkle with the same determination I now recognize in my mirror reflection. She's opened a small bookshop with our funding, building her third act after losing everything to medical debt. Your 10 o'clock is here, Charlotte calls, poking her head through my doorway. I slide the signed approvals into their folder, no longer the assistant but the decision-maker. The mail cart arrives before my meeting. Among the usual business correspondence sits a pastel envelope Sierra's handwriting. Inside, an invitation to her twin's birthday party next weekend. At the bottom, a handwritten note. No gifts necessary. I run my thumb across the embossed cardstock, remembering last year's party when I'd maxed out a credit card buying presents I couldn't afford, while Sierra complained they already had too many toys. Instead of the familiar knot of obligation tightening in my chest, I reach for a correspondence card. Regretfully unable to attend, I write, adding warm wishes without explanation or apology. After sealing the envelope, I open my foundation's portal and authorize an anonymous deposit of $10,000 into each child's college fund. Not out of guilt, but because I can now give freely when it's my choice. Ready for dinner? Aunt Emma stands in my doorway later that evening, her practical beige cardigan, a familiar comfort in my new world. The restaurant host leads us to the best table, a corner booth with plush crimson upholstery overlooking the river. Emma's eyes widen at the crystal glasses, the pristine white tablecloths. "This is too expensive," she whispers, reaching for her sensible purse. I cover her weathered hand with mine. "I've been meaning to tell you something." As the words flow easily now, the lottery, the blind trust, the test. When I finish, Emma simply nods, buttering a piece of bread. "Money doesn't change people," she says. "It reveals them." 2 days later, the morning sunshine bathes Emma's new front yard in golden light as I sign the final paperwork transferring ownership. The modest one-story cottage near Santa Rosa suits her, no more struggling with steep stairs on arthritic knees, no more isolation in that rural farmhouse too far from medical care. "All yours," I say, handing her the pen. Inside, travel brochures litter her coffee table. Italy, New Zealand, Scotland, places we've both dreamed of visiting. On the sideboard rests my journal, repurposed now. The title Gratitude Notes replaces the $39 million test, its pages filling with moments of genuine connection rather than evidence of betrayal. Emma hands me a pair of gardening gloves. "The south corner gets good light," she says, leading me to a freshly tilled patch of soil. "I thought we could plant something together." We kneel side by side, pressing seeds into dark earth. My fingers work the soil, something real, something with roots and room to grow. "Have you spoken to them?" Emma asks, not needing to specify who. As I pressed the seeds into the soil beside the only family member who'd proven true, I wondered, is forgiveness necessary for moving forward, or is it enough to simply close certain chapters with understanding? What would you do with the family who failed the test when you needed them most? I don't answer immediately, concentrating instead on the perfect depth for each seed. Some things need time and proper conditions before they can flourish.